In this episode, we're going to talk about what you should say when someone says, "Why are your prices so expensive?" Especially if you're on social media, this is really going to help you out. And if you are looking to start your detailing business, click the link down below and download my ultimate guide to start your detailing business. There's over 10,000 words of pure content in that guide to help you start and grow. It's 100% free. Just download it, read it, and put it to use. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with this episode. I have my phone in my hand to reference my notes. So the reason why I wanted to make this episode is because I saw an argument happen in one of the videos that I posted. The video itself was basically saying someone, a customer or someone calls you asking to price match another detailer's price, and the main thing was like no. And then people in the comments were saying like, "Oh, you detailers want to be so expensive. You guys are the new barbers, whatever." And the argument in the comments was basically like a few detailers saying, "Oh, like you don't understand. Detailing is so much different than like a car wash. We make sure that the car is taken care of properly and that there's no swirls, and it takes many years to develop the skill, and that you've never had a proper detail." And it was just, I didn't read all the comments because I think there was close to like 60 comments between like however many people. But I caught the gist of what was happening basically. And that's the main reason why I wanted to make this episode, just to kind of give you insight of why I never argue with anyone that doesn't agree or value what we do as detailers, why I don't try to sell someone that doesn't value detailing in that way. Like it's, and three, like why you shouldn't reply to comments, because if you reply to comments, nothing ever turns out good. Comment section are always just a cesspool of just, you're gonna just keep on getting mad if you keep on replying to comments. Okay, so first off, I do want to start off by saying like when someone says like you detailers want to charge high prices what? Right? Because a high price is relevant based on what that person perceives as a high price, right? Because if you charge, there's a hair right here. If you charge $500 for a detail, that could be a high price. But depending on who you ask, if you charge $150, that can also be a high price, right? So high price is contextual to who you're asking, and not only based on can they afford it, but more importantly is, can they afford, do they value that level of service, right? Because the misconception is that if you drive a Lambo, a Porsche, a Ferrari, a Bugatti, any Aston Martin, Corvette, or any vehicle above like $60,000, $70,000, that, oh, since you paid X amount for your car and it's a Porsche, it's whatever, that means everything you do and everything you pay for is going to be the most expensive, right? Because you're driving a $60,000, $80,000, $120,000 vehicle, right? Of course not. I've driven through the car wash lots around my area. You see Lambos, Porsche, Ferraris there all the time. And I'm sure you've seen it the same way too. It's not this like, oh, they got money, so they're gonna go spend money on a premium detailing service. No, because either they don't know that there's a difference between a proper correction and coating versus just like a car wash lot, or two, they simply do not care about the swirls, about the scratches. A quick story is that Lex and I went to go work on a Lamborghini once, and the owner was like, "Hey, can you take off these?" I'm shortening this story, but the owner was like, "Hey, can you take off these smudges here in the back?" And we're like, "Oh yeah." So we're grabbing a towel, being delicate, just doing things properly. And then the customer comes back at some point, "Oh man, like how about these?" And like he just starts like taking his nail and like gouging into the paint. It wasn't chipping the paint, but like he was clearly scratching the car. But bro did not care. Like he's not gonna pay for a correction coating. He doesn't care. Like bro did not in the garage that he had. You could see the old rags that he had with some like turtle wax, whatever. And he doesn't care about getting a proper detail. It's a Lambo. It's really nice, but he doesn't care about like, oh, what's the proper wash? He doesn't care about that, So to him, it's like maybe he doesn't value spending $1,400 on a correction and coating, right? But someone that owns a 2017 Honda Civic Si, maybe they're more than willing to pay $1,000 for a detail because they value their vehicle, they want to keep it for a long time, and they want to go to a reputable detailer, right? So price is relative based on who you're asking, all right? And it's not it's never about the I mean, don't get me wrong, money plays a big role into it, but it's not just about the money. Something that I saw in the comments is the way they were trying to validate their high prices, right? Again, the way that they're trying to validate the high prices, we're saying things like, oh, well, the tools and products that we purchase cost money and they're expensive, or that the detailers get very detailed with the process and that's why it's different and we charge more. Or maybe is that like, hey, you've never experienced a real detail and that's why you don't know why there's a different price. And to me, I never use that. Like, especially tools and products, like the cost of tools and products. I never rely, and again, like if we're, I'm never gonna reply to a comment trying to validate our pricing or detailing because that person doesn't care. But when it comes to like talking to a customer, and even if it is a comment, I'm not gonna rely on saying, oh well, man, like, the soap that I purchased, it's $60 for a gallon, man. Like, that's expensive. Because it's not the gallon that makes a difference. Because anyone can go and buy that gallon. Anyone can go and buy the same polishers. Anyone can go and buy the exact same tools and products that we have. We don't have access to some special, unique tool or product or equipment. And if you're saying you're using a ceramic coating because you're an authorized dealer, you are nowhere near. It's no different. Like, it's not a big deal to be an authorized, and like, it makes no difference whatsoever. So that's why I don't rely on saying, oh, well, the tools and products we have, they're so expensive. They're so perfect. No. Now, I'll lean more on the skill side of things, meaning like if I say, oh, well, like, I don't say, oh, the polisher is $400 because it's for professionals. But I will say is like, oh, like, polishing is very tedious and it takes a long time to get the job done right, which is why we charge more. You see what I'm saying? Like, I'm not relying on the tool itself and the price tag, but I'm saying like, hey, if to properly use this tool, it takes a lot of work and it takes a lot of time, right? So I more lean on the actual skill set than the price tag on the tool and product. Because again, like, so what if it, like, same thing with like running not running a restaurant, but cooking meals. You can go to a restaurant and obviously they're going to have these industrial, commercial grade everything, right? This stove thing costs $40,000. This vent here costs $15,000. This thing here costs $9,000. But it, at your home with, less than, I don't know, $500 worth of whatever pans and things that you have can create a better meal than the restaurant, right? So that's why I don't rely on the tool and product itself as far as the cost goes. But again, the more important part is you can't talk with someone and you're not going to win an argument with why something costs something if they don't value detailing and they don't value their vehicle in that manner to hire someone that has a skill set of that level, if that makes sense, right? Like, you can't argue with someone that one would never hire a detailer and pay them however much, and that they also don't care about maintaining their vehicle in that way, right? Like, most people just want to wash their vehicle and that's it. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, but that's what they care about. They don't care about the swirls, the scratches, oxidation, about maintaining the vehicle. Like, they don't. So it's like you can't. There's no way of quote unquote winning that argument. So why even go down that route of like, oh, well, here's why we're so important. It's like, well, they don't care about that. The same way as like, there's people that'll spend $500 on a pair of shoes. You could never convince me to spend more than $200 on a pair of shoes, and $200 because they're going to be like some Hoka running shoes, right? Like, I'm not spending $200 on I don't even know anything about shoes, but like, I simply don't care about shoes like that. So I won't spend more than $200 on a pair of shoes. And I'm spending like, the running shoes I just purchased, they were $140, right? But they're Hokas and the running shoes. Like, they're a practical expense to me. Now, if you're talking about, oh, I'm going to get these retro Jordans, whatever, it's like, bro, I do not care about that. Whether it's 200, 400, 800, like, I'm not going to purchase them. I don't care about wearing them. I don't think they're cool in any way. But that's me, because you cannot convince me in any way to spend anything more than X amount on shoes, because I simply do not care about shoes. And no matter how you say it, where it comes from, who it's made from, who the designer was, the limited release, what I simply do not care about shoes, and I would not spend more than X amount on those shoes. Like it's not gonna happen. It's the same way of detailing, no difference whatsoever. Also, here's a quick little note for you guys. You cannot compare something health related to detailing, because the argument people make is like, oh, like, if someone says, oh, why would you wash your car if it's gonna rain again, or if it's gonna get dirty again? And then the common response detailers say is, oh, so why should you shower if you're just gonna get dirty again? That is the weakest argument to be ever made, because you can never wash a car for its entire life. The car's still gonna run fine. On the exterior, yeah, paint's gonna be trashed. Mechanically, there's nothing wrong with it, right? You could take a sandpaper right now and completely sand up your wet sand. Like, take 800 grit, take 500 grit, and sand the entire vehicle, right? It still runs fine. Nothing's gonna happen mechanically to the vehicle, right? If you don't shower, yeah, that's hygiene, bro. Like that's a weak argument to make. So don't make that argument. It's weak sauce. You got to come with better points. Let's see here. I forgot where I've been ranting more than looking at my notes. Yeah. So another thing too is, and just it's an important note to talk about. I have the 6 hours of spot on right now, and it's on the red flag. It's on the longest red flag I've ever seen. I think the last hour now it's been on the red flag. So another one is, if we're talking to customers, we do not convince anyone about our detailing services, right? We don't convince anyone why they should hire us. Now, there's a difference, right? We're not going to convince someone why they need our level of detailing services, but if there's someone that needs to be educated on why we're more expensive and why we operate at a higher level, then yes, we will explain ourselves, because those are two different customers, or two different types of people, right? The customer that doesn't care about us, doesn't care about getting that level of service, doesn't want to pay that much for a detail, we're not going to convince them. I say the same example all the time. You cannot sell a $100 steak to someone that wants a $5 hot dog. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter how you present it. It doesn't matter what deal you give them. It doesn't matter anything that you do. You're not selling a $100 steak to someone that wants a $5 hot dog. So if we're talking to someone that simply does not care, we're not going to convince them. We're not going to persuade them. We're not going to pitch them. It's you're wasting both of each other's time. Their time, because they're not going to pay for your services, and your time, because they're not going to pay for your services. So whereas if someone is like, oh man, that's really expensive, like why is it like that? And like, you'll pick up on this over time. And they're, oh, okay, they're just wondering why, because maybe they've talked to other detailers and they were charging, $150 for this, and they actually want to go and get something, better results next time. So now they are just generally curious, of like, oh, why do you charge so much? Why is it such a different price range? Then we'll be more than happy and glad to talk to that individual and break things down and really, go into details like, oh, this is why there's a difference. That's a pretty big distinction on what you need to make when you're talking to people. And another good point that I'm going to make here is, you don't need to prove yourself to anyone on social media, right? If you're posting content, you're going to get eventually, like if you post content, eventually you'll have a video that goes viral. Viral for you, right? Viral for you might be 50,000 views. Viral for you might be 300,000 views. Viral for you might be 1 million, right? So you'll eventually have a video that goes viral for you. Eventually you have some kind of negative comments, right? Negative comments, trolls, haters, whatever. If they're saying, oh man, this guy is so overpriced, why would you charge that? Or like, you're so not worth it. You don't need to go out there and start arguing to someone. Like, of all the people, I've been getting comments about how I'm so expensive, how we won't get repeat customers, and how my business is going to go out of business because we're so high priced. I've been getting those comments since 2015 when I first started posting on YouTube. We're still here. Because the people that leave comments are not your customers. You could have a video with 10,000 comments tell you you're so expensive. This is outrageous. Why would anyone pay these prices? None of those people are your customers. The people that pay your prices, that drop off their vehicle at your shop or hire you to go mobile to their home location, those are the people you pay attention to. Now, of course, like, it's also good to take feedback or criticism, right? Like, you know, it's always good to don't ever have tunnel vision of like, oh no, everyone's wrong. It's always good to have an open mind. Doesn't mean they're right or anything, but it is always good just in general to have an open mind of like, oh, maybe there's some validity there. Maybe there's an angle that might, but don't fall into the hype of like what the comments say, but then also don't just be so negligent and like ignore everything, because you can always learn from any kind of feedback. Like there's always something to take away or something that you can pick up on. But as a whole though, the people that leave comments about how expensive you are would never hire you for a detail anyways. That's important to understand. The people that are leaving negative comments of like, oh, so expensive. Oh, this is so not worth it. Oh, I can get it done for a lot cheaper. Oh man, you guys want to be like barbers. Oh man, you guys are charging like doctors. Those people are not hiring a detailer and paying a premium rate. So why would you spend your time trying to justify or like trying to say something, because they're not going to be your customers anyway. You think the customers that spend $400, $800, $1,400, $4,000, $7,000 on a detail, like detail, PPF, wrap, whatever, tint, whatever, you think they're leaving negative comments on some random detailer's Instagram account about how they're overcharging? No, like not at all. So don't try to prove yourself right to anyone of like, oh, well, the reason why I charge, it's okay. It's just social media. It's fine. Like nothing's going to happen. It's okay. It doesn't matter. It's okay. You're not going to lose your business. You're not going to lose. It's okay. Like you don't have to go and prove yourself right and go argue in comments. You don't need to do that. Now, another last point that I'm going to make here is that it is 10 times easier to grow your business when you're talking and dealing with the right type of customer. But it's 100 times harder to grow your business when you're talking and dealing with the wrong type of customer. Okay? So with the right type of customer, they're not going to haggle on price. They're going to be easy to work with. They're going to have realistic expectations, and it's going to be an overall a great experience. That's what a good customer experience looks like for you and the customer. If you work with the wrong type of customer, they're going to haggle you on price. They're going to want more without paying for more. They're not going to be happy with the result, and they're going to keep on asking for more. So a big portion, a big part of growing your business is making sure you're dealing with the right type of person. I mean, and trust me, I've gone through it. I'm sure you listening to it are going to go through it or have gone through it, to where you're on a call, you're trying to book this customer, and they're like, oh, well, buddy, can you throw in a wash? Or, hey, can you like just lower the price a little bit? And can you do this? And come on, man, work with me. And we take on the work because maybe we're just getting started. Maybe it's a slow season and you're like, oh, well, I need the work, right? That entire detail experience, you are dreading it. You're dreading it before you even get there. You're dreading it when you're working there. You're dreading it when you leave, because the whole time, man, this was a bad customer. I wasn't happy with the process. I wasn't happy with dealing with that person. I wasn't happy with the money that I made. And the entire thing from start to finish is just a bad experience. And obviously you don't want that. That's how you end up getting burnt out. That's how you lose the passion of what you're doing. That's what scares you away from like growing your business or pushing forward, because like you don't want that. That's what you want to avoid. Like that's not a good indicator of success and growth. Like that's just going to lead you to burnout, not being happy, and you not wanting to detail cars anymore. So I'll go ahead and end the episode right there. Hopefully you took something away, and I'll talk to you on the next one.